everybody, it's Cinnamon Coney, your Art Sherpa, and today is day 2 of our 30-day art journey, Acrylic April. We're going to be doing our peaches and grapes still life, one I'm really excited about. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hey, guys.
He is going to be helping me answer questions, track me with cameras, make sure you guys are seeing your action. We're seeing your questions, and you're seeing my action. I'm ready for today. This is what I'll say. So yesterday, I was a little bit nervous. I don't know if you guys were too. Looks like, some people were feeling the nerves with me. Today, I'm really ready for this. Isn't it? John's super ready.
Am I?
Yeah.
I don't feel ready.
He's pretty ready. So I'm definitely taking in all the input. We're trying to make everything easier. If you came here and you're like, why is the canvas brown? If you go to the link in the description below, and I'm sure the mods are going to throw it up in chat as well, that's going to take you to the video page for this. And in it is all the printouts, the step-by-step study that you can do, the gridding, getting the background in, just everything. It's there. They're short videos. They're free. So if you're not familiar how to do this, that's accessible there for you. If you're on mobile, just remember to go to videos, scroll down, go back a couple pages until you find the picture of the peach bowl. And that's where all that information is going to be.
Ooh.
So hopefully that's helping. Each day at the end of the video, I will do the next day's study and the value sketches and the underpainting. So that's where that's going to be. I'm going to do that. So we're doing this together.
Yay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
The idea of this is that we're doing this together. And if you're here for day 2, I want to say you are my hero. I am so glad you hung in. I promise you at the end of 30 days, you are going to be a different artist than you are today. Are we ready to hop in?
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to get everybody caught up on all the stuff. Now, for my resources, I have with me my grids, my color study that we did, so I can kind of get a sense of colors. I have got my reference photo, which you guys have picture in picture. I have my palette out. Here's the palette. We're going to be using the same color set throughout this whole next 30 days. And some of you guys said that when you were coming in, you were having a little trouble knowing which color was which and that it was confusing. So I have manually labeled them with Sharpie today. We'll see how that goes. I've never done that before. And then we're going to work on getting some in-picture titling so you guys can always see. And I'm always going to arrange it like this. I think that's going to help you in that area if you've been feeling confused. So we've got Naples yellow, deep magenta, vermilion, cad yellow, burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, phthalo green, phthalo blue, black, and white. There is a whole file of exchanges of paints, like what you can trade it out if you don't have an exact color, so don't worry about that. I am pumped to do this. I'm probably be doing it with like 1 or 2 brushes today. I have got my little grid in, and I actually really liked how this one came out, and I'm really excited to be starting with this burnt sienna background. I think it's going to layer really well with the painting, and the reason we do a colored background is so the white canvas isn't popping up, and it helps us when we're painting loosely still have our painting look finished. So our first thing, say nice things to yourself. I can paint, I can do this, right?
Yeah.
And let's hop right on in. So I did some sketches and some value studies. The value of a value study is you can make some decisions about some things that you might want to do. You can do them in pencil, you can do them in paint, you can do them in pastel, charcoal, crayon. It doesn't really matter. I provide this for you guys to print out for free if you want your own, or you can just grab a sheet of paper and do it. It doesn't have to be on my pretty paper here. I really liked this one the best, so that's what I'm going to use as my idea of how I'm going to really run my values on my canvas.
Now, let me ask you something.
You can ask me anything.
In the homework videos, do you go over why you selected the background colors the way that you do?
I feel like I did, and if I didn't, I will now.
Okay. But that's
I feel like I did, but if I didn't, I should have, and I will now.
Okay.
I will totally do that now.
Make sure that from now on we cover all of that in the homework for sure.
Yes. I think today I'll just grab my number 8 cat's tongue real quick. You could use your number 8 bright. It's not really important
there you go.
For any of the techniques or anything that we're doing. It's just we're picking a brush and we're going with it. I'm going to rinse that out because I had sizing in it to keep it shaped. And so that's why I was like in there rinsing it. I'm going to dip in my water, drag off the extra, and I'm going to start in my background. Now, one thing I'm going to do is I forgot to give myself my table line here. So I'm going to come to the lip of my bowl and just give myself that little line across, just so I don't get lost about where my green ends and my table begins. That's a thing that can happen. And I like that. I'm going to be making a fairly dark value green, darker than in the reference photo, because I really want to pull the focus into this fruit bowl and make some dramatic light choices and color choices. I did, however, like the green against the peaches, so I'm going to stick with that. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to get some green, and right here is the ultramarine blue, and I'm going to go into my ultramarine blue. See how that's going to deepen it? And then I'm going to get just a smidge, you saw me do that, of the burnt sienna. And I'm going to just start painting in the background. See very carefully. I'm going to try to do big and loose brush strokes. So what I'm meaning by that, big and firm brush strokes, is I'm not being little like this. I'm trying to just be firm and bold. It's a goal. How's your goal going? I can dip in my water for a little extra juice, come back into my mix, which is the phthalo green and ultramarine. It's about 1:1. And my very favorite measurement of paint, a scotch of burnt sienna. And then the burnt sienna underneath this is going to help as well. There we go. I just want to make sure that I am getting this nice dark value.
There we go.
This is really going to play to my eye against the light, bright peaches that I'm going to do. So again, it's darker for a reason. See, I'm loading up, getting a little of my burnt sienna, breathing in, breathing out. What are things that we have to remember if we're really new to painting? We have to remember that we want to let the paint dry between layers, or it'll start blending into itself and get really muddy. We want to remember that we can paint over anything that we don't like as long as it's dry. So see how I'm kind of doing those painterly brush strokes?
Yes.
Just keeping it painterly.
Painterly, you mean just that sort of loose brush stroke where you're not trying to hide the fact that this was painted.
Right. Not trying to hide the fact that this was painted. Many of you guys are like, well, this is a very different style than what I normally paint. And it is. The reason is that, as many of you noticed, being loose, making less brush strokes, and making bigger decisions about your painting is a little challenging, isn't it?
Yeah, that confidence can be very difficult to know.
Yeah, to feel it in your heart. All right, that is, I'm pretty happy with that. Now, I may want to put in a little bit of interest in some zhuzh later up there, but I want to just make sure that my foundation is pretty good. So this is wonderful. Now I've got my kind of wood bottom, and I've been thinking about how I really wanted to work with that. And I believe I'm going to go in with my yellow and a little of my brown. This is my cad yellow and my brown. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to come in and grab, this is crazy, but I'm going to get a little bit of the ultramarine blue, which is going to keep it from being too bright. I'll come here, and this is my first kind of layer for underneath here. This is going to be a loose kind of dry brush technique, but right now I want to get this next layer of paint in, like you do. Come right here. So that is the burnt sienna, the cad yellow, and if it's too bright, you can put a scotch, a smidge, the smallest amount of ultramarine. And we're just painting this out. I'm really excited because I know at the end of the 30 days, so many of you are going to realize just so much potential in yourself. You're going to have big art breakthroughs, and you're going to be really excited about this time. So remember, each brush stroke, you're really investing in that outcome of the future. I'm kind of working around my shadow because I don't want to lose place in my shadow. And it's okay if I get into my grape a little bit. Remember to move your painting so you're not moving your body, right? If you don't want to move your body, that's pretty well. This is just getting some thoughts and ideas in here. I'm going to rinse out very thoroughly. That's a vigorous swish in your brush. Sometimes you have to press the brush to the bottom of the jar to get the paint out. That's looking pretty good. I'm going to pull over my reference and I'm going to talk to you about a couple of things on it. So stuff I really want to pay attention to. There's a shadow here and deep shadow right in here. You're going to definitely want to catch that. And there's a shadow right here. That's going to be really important to really make this bowl feel like the bowl. We're going to be getting the bright white here, playing with the shadows here. This is going to be interesting, the value, getting the wood texture. And we're going to exaggerate our light sources coming in from this side of the picture. So we're going to be really highlighting this side. So we're going to take what's in the photograph, but we're going to exaggerate it for the purposes of the painting, so that the painting is more interesting than the photograph itself.
Now, I was noticing just how incredibly dark that background is.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I thought I had the lights, like I was missing a light or something. Like,
well, see, when I did all of these, the one I was the most excited about, that I thought was the most interesting, was a deep background.
Yeah.
With this very bright plate and these sort of bright peaches. And so I was like, that's what this is for, is be like, I get that this is here, but I want to paint something that's better than what's here.
Now,
if that makes sense. Well, that's cheeky to think it, but that's what I feel.
Yeah, as an artist, you're always looking for your own interpretation of that.
Yeah.
And I guess by
I'm erasing a little paint here that went over my space.
By that intrinsically centered point of view, anything that you're doing is an improvement.
Anything. Now I'm pulling my yellow out. Right, I'm going to pull my yellow out into this. Very interesting. I'm going to get just a smidge of my black. So we remember that that's called shading, right?
Throwing some shade.
We don't have white in there, it's shade. If we have white in there, it's toning. I'm going to come under the bowl.
Can I ask a rules question here?
Yeah, you can.
All right. So Sharon would like to know, does gouache, goulash, how do you say it? Gouache. How does gouache count as an acrylic medium?
Only if it's acrylic gouache.
Ooh.
And there is an acrylic gouache, but I'm gonna tell you my gouache opinions, of which I have many. The only acrylic gouache that I think is really wonderful is the Holbein.
You tried a few.
Tried a few.
Yep.
That's my favorite. That's my opinion. That's my 2 cents. It's okay if you don't agree with that opinion. I'm just trying to put this right here. This is this sort of grayed out yellow at the bottom of this bowl. Pulling this in. This is actually weirdly going to be my deepest value on the bowl.
I keep pushing the wrong button.
Come forward, and I'm adding more yellow. See how I'm working more yellow into that mix?
Yes.
Let's grab some white into that. Now that would technically be, we've shaded it because now there's black and white in it. Pulling this back. See, I'm making a stroke here. I'm going to just really get this space going. And right there, I can go even lighter, and I can do a fun thing, or like grab some in just the Naples, and you can come right there and look. That's this bright yellow light, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't feel like you can't play with that. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm pulling the brush out. I'm just trying to exaggerate that highlight that's there. Rinsing out. Back into this black and yellow mix that I had, right, which was the smidge of black into my cad yellow. Right. And it's a little bit dark under here again, so make sure that we are coming under here. We're going to have some other dark colors that happen under here, but this is just to begin. Right. And then I can just, I haven't even rinsed my brush. I'll go ahead and get some burnt sienna and some phthalo blue. And let's come to the bottom of this vase. And talk about that dark band that goes around that we have. Isn't that fun? Now I can get a little more phthalo blue into that mix. And I'm going to grab some white to shade it. And come right here. And I'm going to add just a little bit of this along that ridge. See how I just didn't take it very far? We're just going to be talking about where we think the light is peeking in. There we go. And there could be a little bit maybe right there, but not much more than that. So we're starting to see that breaking up, showing through there, rinsing out very vigorously.
Now, is it sometimes when you also mix complements, can that be toning?
Yes.
But
Yes.
not always.
Well, see, if you mix primaries together, you always get a dark neutral, right? So you've already graded, because there's two ways you get gray in painting. You get gray by mixing black and white, or you get gray by mixing the primaries together.
Oh.
And that is complementary colors are always red, blue, and yellow somewhere in the mix. Always, always. But they're called complements.
Yep. So I guess for further clarification on that, I highly suggest you refer to the color wheel video, which was so enlightening for me.
That was a good video
it was
for
a really
that.
good video, so go back and check that out.
That was a super good video for that. I'm going to kind of work a little bit of my peaches. And I'm going to, interestingly enough, I'm going to take a little of my Naples yellow and even some white here. And I'm going to come right here.
Peaches is one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, mine too. I can't not think of it when I hear it. And I'm coming up and I'm adding this just bright color there. There's a little bit I could put here. A little bit here coming up on the side. And then maybe that there. Now, interestingly, the next peach is much more orange. So I'm going to get some white, not white, vermilion into this mix. So this was the Naples yellow little white. And now I'm going to get some vermilion. I'm going to start talking about this base. Very loosely, though. I'm coming here with this fun color. Maybe add some of that fun color right here. See that going?
Yeah.
I'm going to just take this right there. We're just starting to think about it. Rinse out. So I've got my cad yellow and my vermilion, and they make many, many wonderful oranges and reds. But I'm actually going to bring a little of my magenta into that. So it's actually the vermilion, the cad yellow, and a little magenta, and you're going to see that's getting me right into some peach space.
Can I say how excited I was to see so many paintings come up yesterday?
It was a beautiful thing.
It's one of the most wonderful things I can think of in the world is that we get to put more artwork into it, and I get to see all the what you guys get to do, which is one of my absolute favorite things.
Grab just a little bit of yellow. I just feeling it right here. I'm gonna put some of the yellow right there.
I have probably one of the best curated art shows on the planet.
You do. Our Facebook page is very easy to deal with. I'm just pulling this here. And we're going to come here and just talk about this a little bit right there. Now remember, we've got some shadows we've got to think about, some way that we're going to talk about shadow. But we've just started to put in our peaches, and they're very loose. We're not having to worry about being too controlled. We're not having to worry about being too worried about anything within it. I'm going to put out a little more of my cad yellow, same spot. Is this helping us keep track of where our paint is?
It's helping me, so it's got to be helping everyone else.
I'm hoping so, because I really hear that. Like, you come in and you're like, I'm watching and I'm having trouble remembering where the mixes are coming from.
I'm going to get some movie magic to help
Are
us
you?
soon.
So let's get into this vermilion and our cad red again. I love adding the magenta to that. Pops it. I come right here. See, it's a little bit darker this time, isn't it?
It is.
I'm going to put a little dark right there. The thing is, we're just trying to be brave, see what we're playing with here. Let me come right here. I feel like this will travel over. Definitely want more of this right here. I feel like this actually has a warmer aspect to it, and it will look really nice against the green. A little more of my vermilion. There we go. Just painting it there. See how it's very rough? We're nowhere near done. This is just the beginning.
Just the beginning.
So we have little pops of light. We're trying to stay very light. We're getting out of areas where the painting underneath is starting to come through because the paint isn't dry, if it's going to make it muddy or change our mixes. And we're going to start moving into some other spaces to allow that to rest and dry so we can come back and do some interesting things again. Now on the wood, I'm going to switch to my number 8 Cambridge Bright. What I would suggest for this is if you have a brush in your art bin that's kind of scruffy, that gives you kind of scruffy good dry brushing, that's the brush you want. Dry brushing is effective if you don't have a lot of water on the brush. You don't want the brush to be wet. You want the paint to be fairly dry, and you want your brush pressure to be very soft. So I will get it a little bit damp, but I'm going to take all the extra water out of it in my towel here, as one is wont to do. I'm going to pull out a little of my cad yellow. Again, I'm going to get some of my burnt sienna into that. You can see that's getting that. And I'm going to just take just a smidge of my green into this mix. And I'm going to come right here. Just dry brush back. And I think even more yellow of this. See, more and more and more. There we go, bright value. That is there like that because there's a little bit of sunlight that's going to be coming here. I come here and just dry brush again. Look at this. We're just brushing to the right, from the left to the right on a dry brush. Getting a little more brown into it. Just make sure this feels woody.
And I forgot to ask you, are we time limiting this one today?
We're always going to try to keep this on a restricted time so we don't spend hours and hours and hours on our painting. Otherwise, we'll get fatigued. All right, I'm going to take a little of my ultramarine blue, and I'm going to mix it. Look at this. It goes quite gray. Very different than when you do phthalo blue. I'm going to come back here, dry brushing this. See how we're doing?
Yeah.
If I need to turn this on its side, I'm going to.
And that's just so you have more control and and you're not going to fatigue your arm, not not lose control.
You want to always protect. I'm bringing this back even over my shadow. I know where it is. You can take some of it here to talk about the deep curve, and I can even very softly, like we're going to just dry brush very softly over this. A little bit of a texture, right? It's okay if some blue or some other color gets in it. All right, let's get some of this in there. I'll go get a little more brown if it gets away from me. I'm just putting this second bit of deep dark texture. So again, this is darkening this. I can get a little bit of my brown and blue together. I can talk a bit about the wood and the ridges. See how we're doing? Brown and blue. So here's the black and the blue, and then brown and blue. So if there's that there, we're going to make sure that there's some implied little wood bits. Maybe we're...
And I'm just so impressed at how dark those values are.
You like that? It's dramatic, right?
It's very dramatic. I mean, and it's
gonna be super dramatic.
And I guess the reason why I'm just noticing it so much is that I know how much I have to dial the cameras in to see the dark and the lights.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, you're extended all the way into the edges of both of those.
I'm gonna get a little bit of my red over here, and I'm gonna mix it into my green. If you'll remember, this made a very interesting gray on our color chart. You can go ahead and put a little wine into that.
And Tina was asking,
and I come here with just a little bit of that top, just right there. Tina was asking,
why is vermilion so transparent?
It's just the nature of the pigment. All pigments have different temperaments, and some of them, like quinacridone, are very transparent, or vermilion, and some of them are quite opaque, like titanium white. And it's really about lots of factors. Is the pigment synthetic? Is it organic? Is it a modern pigment or a historic pigment? Because sometimes your pigment comes from the ground and you're just dealing with whatever the earth gave you, like yellow ochre. You're just dealing with whatever the earth gave you. All right, so I'm going to have some fun here. I'm going to take a little bit of my ultramarine blue. I mixed just a touch of phthalo to it. I'm going to get a smidge of my white. I come under here and I want to talk about underneath the, you see I'm going underneath the base. Talking about the shadow. And I've got here is a cool blue. I love using my ultramarines as shadows. So instead of just trying to go deeper and deeper and darker, I can come in there with those colors. I'm going to let that dry for a minute. And I'm going to come into my cat's tongue brush. I'm going to get some more of my ultramarine blue into that mix. And remember how we had shadows here. I'm going to come with the ultramarine there. Just making sure that I've put a nice deep shadow in there with this color. This is going to allow my grapes to still pop out from the canvas. Blue, ultramarine blue. I think the Sharpie is working. How are you guys doing?
Good. Really good, actually.
So where you're at, look at your painting, look at my painting. The paintings are dark at this stage. We're going to lighten this area up quite a lot so that it pulls forward. We're going to keep pulling it forward till it just is so in our face. You're like, okay. Now, we talked about that there was a nice little shadow here that I want to talk about. I very much enjoy this blue as a way to represent deep shadows. Speaking of, just a little white into it. I want to keep the value quite dark. I'm going to come right here. just make sure the underneath of my bowl reads like it's got shadow happening. You see how we're doing? I'm going to just put some right there. There we go. I think I need to smooth that out. So I'm going to load my brush back up again. Come on the edge here. Make sure that I'm happy with how that is. And come back into my blue right here. And I'm going to do some kind of wild, watch this, we're going to get into the quinacridone. We'll put some purple. Add some purple to that. That's fine. Pull that in. So I'm keeping those dark values where things on the bowl are deep. You seeing those? Now, back into our background. So we're going to get a little of our green and our brown again. And a little of our ultramarine blue. We're going to mix just a smidge of white into that. You're going to come up here very loosely, leaving still a dark area around your peaches. Lighten that up just a smidge. You see how we're doing? I can even get a little of my phthalo blue and my phthalo green together. Make one of my very favorite colors. Let's grab the white to see it. Our favorite, isn't it? Let's make that beautiful space above these. So see how the turquoise is now making it just really pop above the peaches?
Oh yeah, it's just coming alive.
And I'm just trying to be loose about it. And I know that's hard, so how am I doing that? I'm pulling strokes in and I'm trying not to get too fussy and blend because I'll lose everything I've got.
You want those blendings of the color to just the distinct layers there, huh?
Yeah, I really do.
Streakiness. That's the word I was looking for.
I'm wanting that streakiness. I want that depth. Still the blue and the green because I'm still playing with the turquoise. And we can just, so our background is still super deep, isn't it? But now, let's come to this outer edge. So what are we leaving deep? We're going to leave everything around here quite deep. I'm going to take my ultramarine blue and my black again. Boom, 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 boom. All right, makes that deep color. I'm going to get a smidge of white. That was almost more than a smidge.
So, how many scotches is in a smidge?
So many scotches. All right, I'm going to come here. Grab a little more of my black. And just along the edge here. What I'm trying to do is just make sure that I've got value at the bottom. Did I soften that though? So it's still loose, but I'm just softening that space.
It's very almost electric blue right now.
It is, and it should be.
It
but
really?
The blue will
It's
read
okay?
to your eye in some sense. Switch out your water right about now, so your water is clean, because we're going to get into some brighter colors.
Because it looks like there's like neon underneath the bowl right now.
Now I'm going to pull a little of my white out. And interestingly enough, inside the bowl, I'm going to just take a smidge of my ultramarine into my white. See how that's making sort of off china color?
Yeah.
It's still very much, it reads very much. I'm going to bring this little lip around it first.
And a lot of this painting construction has to do with you playing with the transparency of those paints, doesn't it?
Yes, very much. You have to lean into the product that you have. Right here, add this to it. I'm going to come right in here and just sort of start talking about this part of the bowl. Now let's get a little of the white and a smidge of the yellow into that. See how we're doing? But it's quite light now. Still into the yellow. Come here and make sure we're pulling a light bowl. Coming slowly along the edge here. Put that yellow right there. A little bit of brown into it. How are we doing? So we've got a bowl that's now starting to be quite dramatic. It's got a lot of drama, guys. Got a lot of drama. Drama, 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 drama. Okay, so one thing I'm thinking I want to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my quinacridone and some of my white. And come right here. I'm going to hit just a bit of pink. Can you guys see it? Maybe I'll put a little bit right there. The cherries are an interesting deal because we're going to, not cherries, the grapes. We're going to start with our vermilion and our phthalo blue, which we remember make that very deep, neutral gray purple. So deep. You guys see that purple happening? But it's really kind of like deep, deep, deep.
Man, I love me some deep purple.
Yes, you do. We're going to just inform these little fellows right here with that. I think it's fun to also come here and talk about that again. See it like there a little more on those peaches. Some of the little grape disappears behind the bowl. I'm going to come in and do a little lip in a bit. And then we have a friend, don't we? Hangs down. Right here, so it's quite focal.
Boy, it's just right in there. There you go.
Just get that right in there, right? You can always come and bring some of this here to talk about the darkness of the base that ties those colors against each other. Again.
The darkness?
Mm-hmm. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Boy, you're getting all the songs in here today.
Well, we're trying to do something. I'm going to get a little bit of my vermilion and some of my burnt sienna. Mix them together. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to brighten up this wood. Do you see how we're doing?
Yep.
Felt like it was just a little dull. Not exciting.
Don't say that to the wood. You'll hurt its feelings.
I may hurt its feelings. Sometimes wood gets its feelings hurt.
You'll have to
Bring some
spruce it
over
up.
this way. I always put them there. I just think it's important every once in a while to make it more interesting. Here we go. Wow, that was fun.
That is pretty good.
So it's still deep, but it's just slightly more interesting now than it was. I can get a little bit of my yellow into that. And even now create some highlights and space that could be happening. And that's going to be interesting against the green wall. But see how it stays very wood looking?
I do. It's and I guess I've
You don't
noticed
always have to agree with me, baby. You're always so encouraging. You can be like, girl,
well,
I don't know what you're looking at, but I ain't looking at it. I won't be mad, I promise.
It looks like you painted an ocean. No, it's what I was going to say is I noticed that you kept the brushstrokes very level though, and that helped create that wood grainy kind of look.
Mm-hmm.
I think that really helped imply a lot of that.
I think that is helping with quite a lot of that. I'm going to rinse this little fellow out.
And it doesn't hurt that it looks like wood in the color.
It doesn't. Now I'm going to take a little of my vermilion, just the smallest amount, into my yellow. And so if we're just biasing this yellow, right, more to the red.
If you say so.
Come along my bowl.
No, biasing it to the red, that means you're making it more red-like.
I'm warming it up.
Warming it up. So you're adding
more red to it.
More reds.
And on the wheel. Look at that. So we're going to just bring that around here.
That just made that edge glow.
It can, can't it? Just make that edge just glow, glow, glow. Now I'm going to get a bunch of white onto this brush. I'll let some of the yellow work into it, as you can see I'm doing, but I really need it to be quite white. I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
Just a little. Some of my ultramarine, a little of my magenta, getting it into that purple. There we go. Just make sure that half is happening there. A little more light in here. Still quite cool. All right. Coming around the grape. Just lightening up the bowl. Peaches. Need more yellow if I'm going to peach it up, I'm sure. I'm sure.
So I read a comment, and at first it was Ian saying nice impressionist still lifes, Cinnamon. And when I first read it, I was like, I thought it said nice impression of a still life, and I was like, how could it be an impression of a still life if it is a still, so my brain was just like, that's weird. But
struggling, right?
right. And then impressionist. I was like, oh, right, yes.
Well, we're trying to be. Add a little magenta to that.
But that means loose, right?
Yeah, we're just trying to capture what is essential about this to our eye.
And the impressionists were really about catching the emotional feeling of things much more than the visual accurateness.
I think that is a true thing that you can say. Now look at this. When we bring the red over here over the blue, it's still... And I'm going to just dry brush just ever so slightly here. You guys seeing that?
Yeah.
So he's still there.
Color was the other very important component of impressionist work, wasn't it?
Very important.
They spoke about how they felt about things with the use of color.
They really did. They communicated quite well.
And what's really interesting is throughout
So
the.
just real quick.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I've taken a little of my phthalo blue and I mixed it into my vermilion. And I got that knocked back color that I used right here.
Right where? Hold on.
Right here.
Okay.
And through here. Now I've got to get some of the yellows and the muted yellows going into the peach. So I'm using my cad yellow to come over here. I'm going to come around the little grape. Very lightly brushing it down. Right there. And then let's grab some of that. And I feel like we need some right here. I'm going to come put that light color back, but in a really crazy way. Yes, I am.
Yeah. Oops. You're covering you up.
I'm just trying to get a sense of
There we go.
what I want to have happen in that space right there.
One of the things that's important is to always make sure that you're comfortable when you're working, right?
You've got to make sure that your body, your physicality is definitely well seated in comfort. You don't want to be struggling. I put that in the wrong place. Sorry.
Where did that go? What was that?
I don't know what I was doing. I should actually just move that back over here. That was a whole.
Kniff it away.
I should nip it away. All right. There you go. Now I need to use all that green up. Darn it. All right, I'll come up with something. How are you guys doing? I'm so drilled into what I'm doing. Really How are you guys doing?
No, this is really good. This is fantastic. And just so you know, we're just passing the 47-minute mark.
All right. I think this one probably will wrap in about an hour.
Okay.
Sorry, it's running a little long, guys.
No, it's great.
All right. So here, some spots here, and then I got to get my little grapes in.
Your grapes in.
Yeah. So I'm going to try something.
What are you going to try?
Something crazy. I'm going to take a little of my phthalo blue and a little of my green and a lot of my white. Got too much pigment on my brush. Can't get it. Sometimes you have so much pigment on your brush you can't get the light mix.
You love having lots of pigment on there.
I do. I might even get a little of my Naples yellow. I'm going to come here. Add that. Go there. Coming right here with this. This is my light spot on that, isn't it? You guys see that?
Yeah.
Get a little bit right there. If I have to, just more Naples when I'm coming.
Now, it's interesting that you're using blue there.
I decided to be playful.
So you're not strictly following this.
No, goodness no.
So again, this is a lot like the Impressionists, where you're using the color to express those feelings and highlights and making stronger or
trying to.
That's yeah. As I was saying earlier with the Impressionists, I find it very interesting how their colors faded over time. And it changed how we perceived their feelings about things.
About color?
Right.
We're like,
It's like, we might feel that someone was going through a blue period, but in truth, their pigments just faded.
And with this, sometimes I need to do a little more layers to get the pop I'm looking for. Right? Like I've got to get a little more. I'm going to get some pure red on here and just see if I can't Yeah, there we go. Get this to be more interesting. And popping that red. All right. So the grapes. I'm
Keep
going to
leaning on the
take
wrong way.
this magenta and the ultramarine. Maybe a little of my alizarin. I think it's a little rich. See, that's a richer purple. That's the alizarin. A little of the ultramarine. I'm going to begin to talk about this a bit.
This is a very interesting still life in that it's somewhat difficult to know where the light source is coming from because it seems so soft. Is there a good way for us to? Are there any tricks for us to
Probably if you look at where the shadow's casting out. Oh, you mean on the photograph or on my
on the
painting?
photograph? How would we be able to determine where the light source is coming from
Well,
there?
that's a lot about doing that black and white study.
Mm.
Getting into that black and white study, I'm going to get into my purple here, or my blue here, my phthalo blue. All right, pulling in some of this blue.
I guess the highlights on the grapes are another good way of detecting that, huh?
Yeah,
Because they're a little bit reflective.
they are.
So they're sort of showing us a little.
They're doing a little bit for us. I'm actually loving the grapes the best. It's like my favorite part so far. I'm going to come under here, trying to pop up this shadow a bit. You know what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm. I really enjoy when you work loose like this because it leaves so much to the imagination interpretation of the viewer.
It really does.
And I think that that's one of the things that I find very enjoyably engaging about some of this more impressionistic or loose work is that it causes the viewer to be engaged in it.
I'm going to take a little bit of my black and my green at first. This is going to be them first. I'm going to come right here. Just on the tip. If you don't have a brush that you want to use one that you've got a good handle on, where you feel like you've got control over what it's doing. As you do, you want a good handle on what it's doing. Getting this pink mixed up here. Maybe again right here. And into this vermilion, and again, remember that this makes a very dark purple, right? So if you need to keep deepening that up, you can. And you can even reveal that in a little bit of the white.
Now I'm just looking back here through chat, and I'm going to try to field a couple of summarizing statement slash questiony things.
All right.
So if you're having trouble with your particular paint mixing in the same way that what you're seeing Cinnamon doing,
Yeah.
you can post your question up in our Facebook group and make sure you post the brand of paint that you're using because if your Viridian is mixing different with your phthalo, that could be to the brand, it could be to the ratios. There's a lot of reasons for that. And we can help you more when you can ask some of those specific questions in the Facebook group or in the link. And if you check the link in the description below, you'll find a lot of those resources.
I'm taking a little of my Naples yellow. I'm adding it as well to this. I just want to lighten up some spots. And I want to take out the blue that I have because I very much enjoyed it.
So so like quiet, just
I know, I'm
watching
just
you.
thinking, man.
It's like this is the part of the painting where you're deep in the thought of what,
Where you're like, man, was this a good decision? Was this a bad decision?
and every brushstroke makes a big difference now.
Everyone. I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow and add quite a lot of my green to it. A lot, a lot. And then even a bit of my white to really, really lift it. I'm going to come to the top of parts of my stem, not the whole thing, because I want to leave some of it dark, even lighter maybe.
It's really interesting thinking here about how in the very beginning when you're first putting down the paint, it doesn't, you can put down a lot of paint and not have to worry too much about where it's going because you're just trying to get some thoughts in there. But as you go along, it becomes more and more important, each of those strokes.
It really does. I mean, I got to step back and take it all in.
Take it all in.
Take it all in. Put a little more white out.
And on the project page there, in the link in the description down below, if you go there, you'll find on the left-hand side there'll be a traceable image, a gridded image, a black and white image, and a lot of other resources that'll help you along your journey, as well as links for the homework for the next day and to calendar and all of our resources. I don't know how to say. I'm really proud of the work that we're doing on our website to help out
Me
there because
too.
it's turning into a really nice resource. We really appreciate all your guys' help and advice on how we can make it better and better for you because we're enjoying how many paintings we get to see, and so thank you for playing and participating with us.
I'm just making little quick adjustments to.
Yeah, I noticed you put a little layer of white paint down over there.
So
That
it's
just
not white. It is, we were talking, it is a little bit of ultramarine blue
yeah.
and some white.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And the reason I'm doing this right here is this grape, I really need it to appear dark. And so the shadow is creating a problem. And I was like, could I just pull the shadow a bit, still be in the zone I need to be in?
And so you just created some contrast there for
Yeah, always looking for that contrast.
Nice.
Oh, I love them when you get like there on them, then they look so happy. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my white and I'm going to come here and tap out. See, I'm tapping out a little bit of a reflection. The light on there. It's a bright enough value. I'm going to bring some of that here. Exacerbate some of that there. And then, very importantly, I'm going to come here into the grapes. Up here by the stem. And then a bit of it down the front. I want to see how I'm feeling in this crazy little painting. Really haven't gotten into any of my magenta, my cad yellow. See if we can come down here and kind of deepen that up. Just want to make sure that the peach feels peachy.
Peachy.
Peach needs to feel peachy, you know? And I really like where there's these pops of like super, super bright blue.
Yeah. Where they just peek through. Yeah, it's really pretty neat. I love it when you're in quiet introspection. You're like, thinking about it.
This is just where I keep thinking.
See, this is where I wish I had like little thought bubbles and music that I could play while you're over there.
Thinking.
And just add some little little color commentary.
We all need a little commentary. I like that there.
I love how you're adding the blue in there and forcing that coolness recession back.
See the space?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, right? Trying to see where I've got some. I'm going to take my magenta and my vermilion. And I'm going to come pink.
You're in deep Sherpa thought. Everyone's like, "Are you okay? Are you concerned?" But, she's just pondering the placement of.
I want a little bit of red. Do you guys see where I'm doing a little bit of red here?
I do. That's a very interesting choice. Why did you put the red in?
Because it'll pull it out from its background a bit.
I see. Yeah, it really does. It makes it kind of.
I'm going to add this a couple of places because I feel like it will help. I like the color.
I like that too.
I like that really right up against the green quite a lot. To the point where if I feel like if I put some white into that mix and it was up right next against the green, that would be very interesting.
I think it is very interesting.
There we go. Well,
That's pretty fantastic there, Sherpa.
I think I've done it. It's day 2. Let me sign that sucker.
You gotta sign it though, yeah.
Getting ready for tomorrow. I've got to get, so basically we will turn off the cameras. I will work on tomorrow's value studies.
Will you?
I will.
I'm being told what I'm doing next.
And the underpainting, right? The gridding it in if you guys want to do it.
That's right. Oh, I'm so happy with this turned out. This turned out so nice.
Thank you. All right.
Everyone else thinks it turned out great too.
Thank you guys. I think it's an interesting piece. Let's look at it from afar, from across the room, because as you guys have already noticed with your paintings, a little bit of distance does a lot of good. All right. Oh, I like that. Isn't that weird? You get away from it and you're like, oh, white bowl. So white bowl with some grapes, expressly loosely painted every day. By the end of the month, we're going to be like, yeah, loose painting, whatever. We'll be just like, blah, 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 enjoying ourselves so much. Definitely post day 2 if you're painting along with me. I can't wait to see it. Check. Tomorrow is the coffee cup, so check that webpage. I'm going to be adding the step-by-steps for the value, the step-by-step for the grid. And I'll see you tomorrow morning at 11. Bye-bye. Oh, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.